Hello, welcome to the Jay and Drake Show. My name's Drake,
And I'm your boy Jay.
and what you got for us this week?
Oh man, we got a dynamic topic, one that I've been dying to get to. And my topic today is, did slavery ruin the black marriage? Now, before you jump into it, let me ask you some questions. Have you ever heard a female say that there's no good man out there?
Asian.
Okay. Have you ever heard a female say that I don't need a man, I can do it by myself?
Cajun.
So my question is, did slavery and particularly the emasculation of black males ruin the black marriage? Go ahead, you first.
Actually, I would say no. If you look at post-slavery up until about I'm going off the top of my head, so don't hold me strictly to it if I'm a little bit off. I want to say about the 50s, 60s. Marriage rates for black families were very high. It was very, very rare that you had families headed by a single black mother. I think what you have more so with the erosion of the family in its current state is some of it's to do with perhaps the welfare system and how certain forms of aid are set up and made available for people who don't have fathers in the household. Some of it's to do with certain societal trends and the increase in the prevalence of divorce. And there's a whole litany of other things, but those are just some of the ones that's at the top of my head. I think the after effects of slavery may have more or less defined and perpetuated certain tropes when it comes to the emasculation of black men. Though.
I'm with you, but I would say it maybe has, and this is my reasoning. Of course, when you look at slavery, one thing that slavery did, it destroyed the black family, right? Mm-hmm. So people will have children, the man will get immediately sent off, or the child would get sent off, and it created the black family into a matriarchal society. Now, there's other reasons for that we can get into later, but I think that has played a part today. When you look at the fact that black females tend to be, by race and gender, not tend, it's fact, black females are the most educated group in America. But on the opposite spectrum, you have their counterpart, the black male, tends to be the least educated group in America. And then when we look at statistics, it shows that black people tend to marry another black person less than, I think, any other race besides Asian women, if I'm not mistaken. So when you look at
say that last part again,
that they decided to marry someone in their race, the least amount, black males, besides the Asian woman. I think Asian women tend to marry white males more than any. That percentage is higher. But what I'm getting at is this. When you have a group of people who's educated that tends to make more money, that when that's predominantly was saw as a male role to be the leader of the family, to be the breadwinner, so forth and so forth. When that is switched, then you see things like, I don't need a man. I'm independent. I can do this by myself. There's no good man out there. So you see that today, but to me, the underlying cause is that this has been started and perpetuated from slavery and Jim Crow, to the point that you see videos, you see a guy like Lil Wayne, right? Who has a dark-skinned daughter whose mother's dark-skinned. He uses the line, pretty dark-skinned chick, but I bet she look better red. To the point that you watch videos, music videos, and you can't see a black female in the video. And when you watch other females, and I watch other YouTube channels, and I see it all the time, there's no good black man out there. And I feel in my heart that the black relationship, and by default, the black family structure has suffered, and is suffering today more than at any other point in post-slavery history.
My only counterpoint would be in the 50s and 60s when you had marriage rates at 80+%. But in relation to those things that you raised, I think it's much more of an individual case by case basis when you have people, or in particular women, black women, who say that they're independent or they don't need a man or don't need this, don't need that. A lot of times, what I found is in those cases, I've dated a couple of them. Some of them made more than I made, whatever, but they didn't know how to be in a relationship. And I think that's the biggest problem with those women when you hear those declarations like, I'm independent, I don't need anybody, I don't need this, I don't need that. You can make $100,000, you can make $1 million a year. It doesn't really matter. It's not about necessarily, in that case, what someone can do for you, but what will somebody is willing and wants to do for you. And if you have these walls up and you constantly beating them back with a barrage of I don't need, it's cool. It's obvious you don't need me, so I'll walk away.
You hit it on the head, man. I think that you know, black females, black queens, our women have been forced so long through slavery, through Jim Crow, through the emasculation of the black male in American society. They've been forced so long to do it on themselves, to be their own leader, per se, that now that that's not particularly in play, it's almost been transmutated genetically. Like, I can't explain it, man. There's a lot of these females I know personally who that's honestly their viewpoint. That I'm going to meet a dude, I can have a child, we don't have to get married, I don't need that, I can handle it, I'm going to do this by myself. Matter of fact, on Father's Day, you tend to see more Happy Father's Day posts dedicated to a female than you do a male. I was raised by a single mother. Now, my father died, but I still was raised by a single mother. Yet still, I would never tell her Happy Father's Day. But we see no problem with telling our females Happy Father's Day. We see no problem with calling our beautiful women a strong female. And I'm like I said, all races, all genders are beautiful. Don't get me twisted. Marry whoever you want to marry. What I'm saying is, we're the only ethnicity I see that calls our woman a masculine adjective on a regular basis. So when you have this, and then you have the male trying to come into the household, and he tends to make less money, he tends to be less educated, I can definitely see how, because of what was set forth and started in slavery and has been passed on from generation to generation, the black relationship is suffering, and it's suffering greatly, in my opinion.
I disagree in that strong is solely a pejoratively masculine adjective. Strong is strong, and you can look throughout history. Like one of the most recent examples I've been reading about, Margaret Thatcher. She was a prime minister of England. Like, she's considered to be a very strong leader. A lot of people, conservative, liberal, so on and so forth in British politics, consider her to be that. And even what they referred to her as, they called her the Iron Maiden. Even that name refers to, portrays a certain level of strength and fortitude and resilience. So I don't think that for a woman to be strong necessarily means that a man has to be weak, and vice versa. I mean, okay, honestly, well,
I'm with you, but let's be 100 on the subject. Now, nothing is ever 100% the case. So when I say that, I'm not saying that no other gender or ethnicity or whatever uses that. What I'm saying is, it is more prevalent in our community. It is more prevalent because of
broken families.
Because of broken, and the reason. And I believe that it is fueled like that. That it is almost, the black male is almost viewed as a co-baby maker. That's it. The father figure, that strong male presence is not popular. It's not populist. It is not what's sought after today in a lot of relationships. Matter of fact, I would say this. I've been married 3 years, almost going on 4 years. And my wife, she tends to be more so the old school, what I call the church view of marriage. The man is the head of the household. Before you come to me, you need to talk to my husband, so on and so forth. And that is viewed, I know for certain, that is viewed by a lot of women, a lot of females as weak-minded. Oh, I don't want a relationship like that, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, it's all that way. And I know that for a fact. And I'm asking you, like, first of all, do you agree that's true? And if it is true, how can we change it? Or does it need to be changed?
There's definitely some out there that prefer that. And it's one of those things where it goes to the values that you were raised with. I'm speaking purely anecdotally, but I think the way that a lot of women come across in those types of situations is the way that the rationale for their disposition, so to speak, is because they've witnessed some type of manipulation and abuse, perhaps to their mother, grandmother, or whoever, a prominent female figure in their life. And it's more so based out of fear of this happening to them. Because I think in some instances it goes back to some of the classical, what you're talking about, the classical relationship disposition, goes back partially, in part, to the economics of a relationship. Where, excuse me, where if we went back to my grandfather's time, he always told me before he passed, when he knew I was dating and had a girlfriend, he's like, yo, I know marriage a long way away from you, but you should be able to handle everything for your house. You should be able to support your house. Your wife can work, she can do whatever, but she shouldn't have to work for your house to make it. And back in those days, in the 40s and 50s, when he was a young man my age,
that's how it was.
That was true.
That's true.
And also, you have to keep in mind what went along with that. You had one-income households where the man made the money, the woman took care of the house, and as such, you also have with that the potential for leverage. So if you had somebody who was just wanted to do whatever, they had more leverage to do whatever. Because if I want to sleep around openly in your face, if I want to abuse you or whatever, where you gonna go? I pay the bills. I take care of the kids. You have no money. A lot of times, you've married and moved very far away from your family. You don't even have transportation.
But see, now, I think, Dre, that you hit on a great point. Maybe it's not. If you look at marriage and divorce rates now, it's higher than at any point in history. And I've talked to a guy, Mr. Fred, I'm not going to say his last name. He was an older male I worked with. And he said that having to have a two-income household is the reason why divorce rates are higher than ever before. And that today's society requiring basically both male and female to work, that somebody has a top 10% income type of job, that has ruined the marriage and the family structure. So that's a great point. Maybe it's not just the black marriage. Maybe it's relationships in America in general. And my viewpoint on that is, I think all women, man, should do what they want to do, work how they want to work, whatever. Just as much as a man can go out and do his whim, she deserves that too. But we also have to understand that it's okay, that's fine, but it still is a structure in my viewpoint. It is a structure in a way that a household should be ran, and that is the best way for it to be ran, to have a happy and successful marriage, to have a happy and successful family structure, and the best way to rear kids. And I think that with the way that the two-income households are playing out now, it tends to be, it conflicts the roles. And that's not anybody's fault, but I think it is a fact.
I think what it does is it forces parity. Like I said, imagine those relationships, because you have to also keep in mind, in terms of black relationships and black marriages, the marriage percentage in the 40s, 50s, 60s, you were talking like 70, 80% plus.
Yes.
Like the broken family that you see today was a rarity in those times. But also, imagine if, because we all know the stories, somebody grandfather has a whole nother family right around the corner. Let's be real.
This is true.
Let's be honest.
You all know that.
Let's be honest.
This is true.
Somebody has a family somewhere else.
And down the street.
He checks out, plays daddy down there, comes back home.
He come back home though.
Yeah.
Come back home. He always come back home.
But imagine if that woman had the income.
She would have stood for that.
To be able to say, you know what?
That's right.
I don't gotta take this. I can go. I got a car. I can pack my kids up. I can leave. And that's where I think that the difference in today is, because these things are still happening. I mean, it goes back to the old saying: "There's nothing new under the sun."
Nothing new. They leave it now, bro. You do it one time, so you gotta be a little careful out there.
But I mean, and honestly, I think it's really forcing men to step up and be more ethical in relationships and their behavior. Well, actually, men and women for that fact, because it works both ways. It's now these individuals, instead of one being up here and one being down here because they don't have any economic power, they're much closer in line. And
the funny thing about that is, to jump in,
mm-hmm.
you can look at that as a complete ethnicity thing, because until economically we get here, we're still going to be codependent on other people for our survival. But it's been reached our time limit, and before I wrap up, I want to say this: I don't care who you love who you want to love. It doesn't matter the color, the race, the religion, the creed. Love who you want to love. But I will say this: marriage, family structure, and relationships are important. And before you get into one, really think about the person you're getting into it with. And even if it doesn't work out, that's fine. Just remember, those little kids didn't ask us to come into this world. We brought them into this world. So in conclusion, on my end, I would just like to say, man, love each other, love your kids, and if possible, stay together. We're going to wrap it up, though, Dre.
Nah, I think you already did it, man.
All right. So once again, man, I'm Jay.
I'm Dre. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and have a great day.
Peace.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me.